Good morning. So, for English today, just a quick review of the parts of speech that we've already studied or that we're studying as far as conjunctions go. And then we're going to get into the next part of what we're working on.
Please recite each part of speech with me. Noun, verb, adverb, adjective, preposition, pronoun, conjunction. Today during skill time, we will learn about clauses and
Okay, so clauses are phrases that have a simple subject and a simple predicate, or a noun that acts as the subject, or pronoun that acts as the subject, and a verb. Okay, but they don't always have punctuation and a capital letter. That's what makes them a clause versus a sentence. So they're going to get into that and they're going to explain it. So I know when you saw clauses, you probably were jumping up and down thinking, okay, great, we finally get to talk about Santa and Mrs. But no, this has to do with grammar. So no venturing to the North Pole. Okay, stay put. All right, here we go.
simple sentences. Follow the blue arrow. As you begin studying different types of sentences, you will learn the structure and vocabulary that are used to identify them. Follow closely as reference 98 teaches us about clauses. A clause is a special grammar name given to a group of words with a subject and predicate. Clauses are used to make different types of sentences. You will find them in simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences. There are two kinds of clauses, an independent clause and a dependent clause. An independent
Okay, so independent and dependent. I know you're fairly familiar with those words, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. But in the same way that you would like to think that you're independent, and you are, there's a lot of things you can do by yourself. Obviously, you probably get yourself up in the morning. You can make your own breakfast. You probably can make your own lunch. But as of yet, you're not paying the bills. You're not providing uh, food for your family. You're not providing shelter. Those are things that make you dependent. You depend on somebody else to give you those things. Whereas if you were independent, you would be paying the bills. You would be providing a house or an apartment for you to live in. You would be making sure that you had transportation to get from point A to point B. So all those things make you more independent. Okay. Grammar's the same way. There are some phrases or clauses that have to have a whole nother clause just for them to work well. Okay, those are called dependent clauses. They have to have something else in order to function well. An independent clause can operate all by itself. All you have to do is put a capital letter at the beginning and a period or some kind of punctuation mark at the end that works well, and you've got a sentence. A dependent clause you can't turn into a sentence just with a capital letter and punctuation.
clause has a subject and a predicate, expresses a complete thought, and can stand alone as a sentence. For example, the dogs slept in the barn. A dependent clause has a subject and a predicate, but does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone as a sentence. It depends on an independent clause in order for it to make sense. For example, when the dog slept in the barn. Reference 99 teaches us about simple sentences. Please follow along. A simple sentence is made of one independent clause. A clause can only become a complete sentence if you capitalize the first word and add an end mark. Let's take a look at this independent clause. The dog slept in the barn. Did you notice that it has a subject and a predicate, and it expresses a complete thought? But it does not start with a capital letter. or end with an end mark. Therefore, it is an independent clause. All you have to do to turn this independent clause into a simple sentence is capitalize the first word of the sentence and add an end mark. Simple sentence with compound parts. A simple sentence with compound parts is also made from one independent clause. Once you add the compound subject, dogs and cats, to the independent clause, it now reads, "The dogs and cats slept in the barn." It is an independent clause because it has a subject, predicate, and expresses a complete thought.
Okay, so we have talked about compound and what that word means. Compound means more than one. It's that simple. So if you have a compound subject, you have more than one subject. Dogs, cat are both subjects. So compound simply means more than one.
It does not have a capital letter or end with an end mark. Therefore, it is an independent clause. All we need to do to turn this independent clause into a simple sentence with compound parts is add a capital letter to the beginning of the sentence and an end mark to the end. Reference 100 teaches us about identifying and combining sentences. Identifying sentences. Identify the sentences with the following labels: simple sentence, capital S; simple sentence with compound subjects, capital SCS; and simple sentence with compound verbs, capital SCV. Take a look at the examples below. Samson is in the backyard. This sentence has a subject, predicate, expresses a complete thought, and it has a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence and ends with an end mark. That makes it a simple sentence. Samson and Lucky are in the backyard. Did you notice that the subject of the sentence is a compound subject, Samson and Lucky?
Okay, so this is still a simple sentence. It just has a compound subject. And that's what these letters mean. Simple sentence, compound subject.
This is an example of a simple sentence with a compound subject. My sisters talked and laughed all evening. This is an example of a simple sentence with a compound verb. Combining sentences. Use compound parts to combine similar information and to eliminate repeated parts. Combine each sentence as indicated by the labels in parentheses at the end of the sentences. Take a look at example 1. Samson is in the backyard. Lucky is in the backyard. The abbreviation in the parentheses tells us to create a simple sentence with a compound subject. When you combine the two simple sentences above, you now get Samson and Lucky are in the backyard. Note, the singular is changes to the plural are because there are more than one. Example 2. My sisters talked all evening. My sisters laughed all evening. The abbreviation in the parentheses tells us to write a simple sentence with a compound verb. When you combine the two simple sentences above, you then create My sisters talked and laughed all evening. Today's student tip reminds us, conjunctions and compound parts are very useful in writing because they keep your writing flowing smoothly by eliminating repeated parts. Now that you have studied conjunctions and compound parts, your teacher and I will be looking for this in your writing. Here's your to-do list. Print and complete Classroom Practice 25.
Okay, so you don't have to print this off. I will give it to you in sections to work on either in a quiz format that will show up as a quiz in the LMS, or I will give it to you on a sheet of paper that I will share with you as a Google Doc, and or as a actually probably be a Google Sheet, and you'll simply copy that and then create your own Google Sheet to share with me, much like we did with the math. But I'll make a video of how to do that. Okay, that's it for today. You have this as homework, and I think I'm going to make the practice due on Friday. So it's not due for tomorrow, Thursday. Instead, it will be due, practice will be due on Friday. Okay? So you can work on that on Thursday. All right. God's blessings to you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.